Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Do we have a real close ally in Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I think, with all due respect, the better question is, do we have an important alliance between the American people and the Israeli people? And the answer to that question is yes. We have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Was 20 seconds long, Robbie, 20 seconds long, and she said nothing in those 20 seconds.
This is entirely characteristic of Kamala Harris's communication strategy. She's been known for this for years. It wasn't until Joe Biden literally became perhaps cognitively incapable of communicating that she seemed like the safer option in terms of articulating a policy to the American people. But this is someone who has gone back on most of her stances that she had in 2019 on decriminalizing the border and electric vehicles and all that. So why can't she just tell the progressive base on this issue that she stands with Netanyahu and she doesn't care? It's telling that she's afraid of them on this, but nothing else.
That's exactly right. Josh, to you now, because even the Call Her Daddy podcast asked her, kind of pressed her on the whole idea of her not doing interviews. Watch.
I'm curious, like, you don't do too many long form interviews. What made you want to do Call Her Daddy today?
Well, I think you and your listeners have really got this thing right, which is one of the best ways to communicate with people is to be real.
She never talked to anything, Josh, about the interviews that she was pressed on not doing, and then she goes in to not answer the question that she was asked on Call Her Daddy. It just makes me laugh saying Tracy, the name of the thing. Sorry, go ahead.
It's pretty funny, isn't it? I mean, she has this whole avoid the media strategy, and then the one podcast she decides to go on, as many people have already noted. I mean, the previous podcast titles on this particular show, the so-called Call Her Daddy show, it involves sexual acts that I would not even feel comfortable discussing on your show. And this is someone who wants to be the president of the United States. She's going on to discuss something allegedly with that particular audience. She's not talking to any kind of interviewer who would ask her about substantive public policy. Look, Trace, this is ultimately all about the abortion issue. You and I both know that's exactly what's going on here. They're trying to make this a referendum on the abortion issue. It is the one issue out there that public polling shows that the public disproportionately trust the Democrats. Every other issue out there, the immigration, economy, crime, she knows that she's playing a losing hand. She's trying to force this reproductive rights, women's conversation. It speaks for itself.
And here's where we go, because the media appearance here, she went on the Call Her Daddy podcast, but here we had 60 Minutes tonight. Put this up on the screen. Tuesday, The View, Howard Stern Show, and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And on Thursday, she's doing a Univision town hall. Even people, Andrea Mitchell, are saying, come on, you got to do some interviews at some point.
What do you mean? You don't think they're going to really grill her on The View? I think they're going to speak truth to power during that appearance.
I misspoke, right?
No, it speaks to the fact that, and I don't have a problem with her doing these podcasts or anything like that. I think it is important to do alternate platforms. We live in a different media ecosystem where people get their news from a lot of different places. But the problem is she's not going to be pressed on any of these platforms. She's not going to be asked about her changing her total 180 on so many policies. We don't know, the American people don't know what she really stands for because she didn't have to go through a primary debate process, and she's not facing that kind of scrutiny.
I'm out of time, Josh, but I want to play this. Hillary Clinton saying that it's time for us to censor social media.
If the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control.
We lose total control, Josh. 20 seconds for you.
Look, I mean, we saw very clearly in the Murphy versus Missouri case that recently ended at the U.S. Supreme Court just how much big government is in collusion with big tech to suppress dissident voices in this country. You heard it right there from the horse's mouth. This ultimately, Trace, goes all the way back to the Russia collusion delusion. They still, 8 years later, Trace, I'm convinced, have not gotten over the fact that Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton in a legitimate election. They're still blaming it on Russian disinformation. That really is where this is coming from. It's coming from a deeply sore loser spot. And that's what you're hearing here.
She's bitter. That's for dang sure. Josh Hammer, Robbie Suave, thank you both for coming on.